Right now it is time for us to bring in Main Street Magazine. Main Street Magazine on Robin Hood Radio. Of course, you can find Main Street Magazine at numerous locations throughout our tri-state region for free for pickup. And you can also find them on the web at mainstreetmag.com. And we welcome in once again Thorin. Good morning, Thorin.
Good morning. How are you?
I am absolutely fine.
Good.
It's hard to believe it's September 1st. It really is.
It truly is.
Because it's September 1st. We've got the Kentucky Derby coming up this weekend, which normally happens months ago. We haven't had the Masters golf tournament. It's just everything's out of discombobulated, I think is what my grandmother used to say.
That's a perfect word for it.
But we are in September, and I did read your Thorin has a little introduction that she writes, and your introduction for this week, Sweet September.
Yes, we call it the editor's note, and it's just usually a small intro to either the magazine itself or just something that kind of ties it all together.
And what I found, we'll go right to one of the first articles, and it's the two guys that have reawoken the Sharon Playhouse, and even in this year of the pandemic, the Sharon Playhouse is putting on shows, not necessarily that is going to make them a ton of money. It doesn't, as a matter of fact, but it keeps the community involved and active with the Playhouse. So you have a real nice profile of both Alan and Robert, lives in the theater.
Yes, so CB, as most of our readers know, does the monthly artist profile, and this month he said he wanted to profile them, and because CB has done numerous kind of theater, backstage pieces that he calls, and so we've been trying to help spread the word as much as we can about the different theater groups and performing places in our area. So we thought it was a perfect match to profile them for this issue and just talk about everything that they've done, and including what's happening now with the pandemic and the Sharon Playhouse.
It really is very amazing. They both promised something this season, postponing their normal season till next year, and they have delivered with these drive-in shows that they have put on, all different types. As a matter of fact, this weekend they have another show that is more family-based and youth-based. But the thing that amazes me is they've constructed that outdoor theater, the way they adapted so quickly, and what even doesn't surprise me but makes me feel good is the community turnout. Every show so far has been a sellout with 52 cars, which just shows the area's appreciation to what they're both doing at the Sharon Playhouse.
And certainly, it's a wonderful thing that they are making that happen for the community as well as the Sharon Playhouse.
And I do believe they're even going to start to work with the Millerton Movie House and try to present some movies as well, which would be nice because Carol Sadlon really has taken the brunt of restrictions, probably worse than any other business in our tri-state area.
I agree with that. And I believe CB was just telling me yesterday, I believe that they're going to do in the coming week a show of Jaws, I think it is. So that'll be kind of fun.
Well, it's community helping community, and that's what I think what makes our area so special. Now it's interesting your article on Ruth the Farms in Litchfield. I was not really aware of them until we were invited to an event there, and we went to the event and we toured the whole farm, and the barn that the cows are kept in. It was amazing, and there was a big sign, I think, when you went in there. These are ladies, so treat them like ladies. The story about that farm is truly amazing.
I have to admit, I wasn't aware of them, but once I saw the packaging, I was like, oh, I've seen that around. So, that's one of the things that I personally love about the magazines, when the writers, bring something forward that, even I haven't heard of, or, a lot of our readers haven't heard of, and, get to know the story of it. And I thought this was a very well-deserved, entrepreneur feature for our series on that. And it's a different ideology a bit in regards to how they look at farming. And so it's been kind of amazing to see kind of what they've done.
Well, it's also once again more than just the farming and more than their community involvement. Where yes, they have the farm, yes, they have an ice cream stand, yes, they opened up restaurants. They really have invested heavily not only in the farm and the product they put out, but also in the area. And you love when you see businesses do that, where they just you take a farm, a dairy farm, and you take it and you realize that dairy farms once again were the hub. Whole area was nothing but dairy farms years ago, and then they take their dairy farm and once again they infuse it in the community. And I just love businesses that do that.
There's It's funny you say that. I just feel like there's no greater commitment to the region than when folks and entrepreneurs do that and invest so heavily in the community. And it's just that, that's when we all prosper.
We've got Willowbrook Farm, you've got Paley's Farm. These are all local farms producing local products on a local basis, where the food is safe, it's fresh, and they're out there making a living, not making a ton of money, but they're making a living, and they're helping the community out. Now, going on, Jessie Sheehan, you have her to add more calories to people's diets this month again.
Well, speaking of the farms, for her berry snacking cakes, stop by one of them and pick up some fruit and make your own berry snacking cake. But yeah, Jessie this month has brought us a berry snacking cake, and I think her idea was actually that it's right now you can still get a lot of these berries fresh, and so it's a nice tie-in for that. And yeah, add a couple of calories to our intake, sure.
It's interesting because I like raspberries. Even though I don't go pick raspberries, but I used to have a part-time weekend radio job in Albany, and I would drive up, and there's like 3 or 4 different huge cherry farms on the way to Albany, and I used to love every summer driving up. Picking up a bag of cherries on the way up and a bag of cherries on the way down, because there's nothing better than when you can get that fruit that is picked fresh locally in our area. There's just no better taste or no better use for it, whether you pick them and eat them right out of there, or else whether you bake and cook with them. We really are, once again, I always say, we live in an area where people come to visit us for vacation, and sometimes we overlook how lucky we are to live in the area we live in.
Exactly. I think more and more people are, especially during the last 6 months, are realizing how great it is to be here.
Well, and that will lead us to the final story that we'll talk about this morning, and that is, it's entitled "Can't Find a Place to Live." The residential rental market in our region, not only the rental market, but also, of course, the sales market, really has been an amazing year. And I think I saw a post on Facebook that in Sharon, there are 23 new students at Sharon Center School this year.
I heard yesterday that enrollment in Salisbury Central is up 25%, and I've heard similar numbers for other public schools in the region. So, hey, for declining school populations, this is a good thing, And yeah, Christine this month for our real estate future decided to focus on the rental market. She, of course, besides writing for us and being a writer and a business person, she's also a realtor. So she has a finger on the pulse of things right now. And I knew it was hopping, but seeing some of the statistics that she brought forward was quite interesting. Seeing the increased rental prices as well.
Well, what's interesting about it is that when the sale of houses goes up, instantly there's less room for people to rent, and so the market for rental goes up as well. And it's that balance that all our communities have to face with how much rental property should there be, how much affordable rental should there be, how much rent control should there be, should housing projects be built like we're looking at this in Falls Village, should they be built, what size. It all adds into exactly what we've found out with this pandemic, that people have realized, most people that live in the city, they can telecommute to work and live out in the country and be a little easier up here. And also, your story ties into what's happening in the west side of New York, where hotel rooms are being used for low-income folks, just simply to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And that has affected a lot of people on the west side of New York that have looked for other ways to temporarily move out and move someplace else than live in New York City. The story that you have really is just the tip of the iceberg for what's going on with rental and sales in our area.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the things that she talks about on the first page is also the different types of rentals that are, whether it be furnished or whether it be, low end, middle end, high end, and this what has been the standard needs, for these rentals. Is it a summer rental? Is it, someone whose kid is going to one of the private schools, so they want a school season rental? But now, as she wrote in here, now some of the quote unquote summer rental folks, they wanted the houses in April. So I think, more or less everything is going to be flipped on its head, and what we thought, we knew has been changed now due to this, and the demand is very high. And they're just, as she gave us some numbers here in about, I forget which towns it was, but there was one place, as she wrote this, one place available in one town, there were nothing in another, and 3 in the third that she mentioned. So when you're looking at that, you're like, wow, there is not much left at this point to rent at any price point.
And when you drive by for sale signs, it's amazing. I can remember a time where for sale signs stood up there for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Now they're up for a week and a half, and all of a sudden you'll see a sign under contract, and then all of a sudden the sign's gone. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it really is absolutely amazing what has happened. And like we say, there are downsides to it, but there are also good sides to it. Our schools, the school population is going to level off this year and actually go up a little bit for Region 1. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops over the course of the next year. Well, that's just a touch on some of the things you'll find in this month's edition of Main Street Magazine. It is online at mainstreetmag.com and also throughout the tri-state region. Thorne, we'll check with you again next week.
Sounds good. Have a great week.
Take care. That here on Robin Hood Radio is Main Street, a magazine on Robin Hood Radio with Thor and Christian Donner. You can find them once again, mainstreetmag.com on the web.